Hey guys, Ashley and Davy here at Utah Trikes. We're going to be riding these fat tire monster truck trike and we're going to see how they fare. We've got the Ice Full Fat from England, and then we have the Sunseeker Fat Tad CXS with our own special Utah Trikes custom sauce. Bigger wheels on the front and a bigger wheel on the back to kind of bring these up to the same seating level. You know what? Let's get on the road and let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's just try them out.
All right, David, we're back on the road.
Back on the road.
And we've got two fat trikes here. We got the Ice Full Fat, and it's set up with the 14-speed roll-off
Heck
hub.
yeah, I'm excited to be riding this one first.
The Ice Full Fat, it's a fantastic fat trike. I had the opportunity to test that out with the Azub Tie-Fly X.
Oh, nice.
A couple of weeks ago. I'm on the Sunseeker Fat Tad CXS. This one's equipped a little bit different than stock though. So stock, the CXS comes with the 20 by 4 inch fat tires. So it usually sits down a little bit lower, isn't quite as beastly as it is right now.
Yeah, but now we've outfitted it with 26 by 4 inch wheels.
Yeah,
really
so
bring it up to par with the Full Fat.
Yeah, and I felt like, if we're gonna compare these two trikes, we ought to at least equalize them in terms of wheel size.
Yeah.
The gearing on these is different, but so is the cost point.
Yeah.
The roll-off itself is probably one of the most expensive bicycle upgrades that people will get.
Yeah. The roll-off, I think, is comparable in price to the Fat Tad itself.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at, the roll-off hub by itself, we're in that $2,000 price range. It's got a 540% gear range. It's about equivalent to what you would normally see on a 24 or 30 speed ride train. It has a lot of advantages. You can shift while you're pedaling, while you're coasting, when you're stopped.
It's awesome.
It's awesome.
It's such a smooth shift as well. It's like silent.
Right.
It's instant. I've just been kind of playing with the gearing, and the roll-offs are always really fun to ride with.
Now for this comparison, I don't really want to dwell on the gearing.
Gotcha.
Because, this trike here, the CXS, can also be had with the roll-off.
Yeah. Like the roll-off is a very universal gearing.
Yeah, and I'll just throw this out there, the roll-off is better than what's on this.
It's always going to be. When you're paying like $2,500 for rear gearing, it's gonna be the best.
Yeah, and this gearing that's on this is the stock CXS 24 speed. Very entry level. When Jan and I took the CXSs out, one of our criticisms of it is, the stock gearing is, the gear range is great, but the actual components aren't very good.
Yeah.
I would say anybody that's considering getting a CXS, eventually you're probably going to want to upgrade the gearing.
One thing that I like to say about these fat trikes is I walked out into our shop today to see what we were riding. I see two massive tired trikes, and I said, crap, this is going to be really hard and tiring.
Right.
And we aren't super far into the ride, but I'm already feeling that these are not as difficult to pedal these long distances as I thought it was going to be.
Right, and that comes up a lot where people see the big fat tires and they go, oh, that's going to be a lot more work.
Yeah.
To ride. Now, I will say this, that the tires do play a pretty big role in that.
Yes, and we definitely aren't going as fast as we usually are on our normal trikes, but
it's, it's easy to keep a comfortable pace, I think.
Yes.
The Ice Full Fat that you're on right now, it's equipped with the Schwalbe Jumbo Gyms.
Yes.
While they are a wider knobby tire, they actually perform very well on the asphalt. The CXS I'm on, it's equipped with Innova off-road tires, which are a little more aggressive. They're a little bit slower of a tire on asphalt like this. But again, you know, I don't really want to dwell on tires or gearing on these. What I really want to focus on is the comfort of riding.
Yeah.
And then I also want to talk about the handling. How do they compare?
Gotcha.
Against each other? You know, fat trikes aren't for everybody.
Definitely not.
You know, the CXS is tremendously popular because of its low price, kind of entry level nature. So it's affordable, you know, the stock CXS comes in right under $2,500, where the ice full fat is double that.
Oh yes.
You know,
which
and
that price point's really gonna be what decides it for a lot of people.
Right.
Whew.
So yeah, now we're climbing on bigger, heavier, fat tire trikes than we normally do. So it's a little bit more effort.
I'm trying to figure out what a good bottom gear that's comparable to your bottom gear would be.
You know, I'm in my middle chainring up front and my lowest gear in the back. You know, I'm pushing kind of hard.
This is definitely a lot harder than usual.
Yeah. I mean, these are bigger, heavier trikes. They're definitely not, you know, racing trikes. The gearing on both of these trikes is plenty adequate for this kind of a hill.
Yeah.
You gotta gear down, man.
I'm at the lowest. I'm at the lowest I can go.
I still got a whole other low chain ring.
I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you tackle these hills, man.
We're getting to the top of the hill. You know, sometimes you just can't talk as much while you're climbing.
Yeah, no, I had to put all my...
You gotta focus on breathing. Yeah.
These fat tires definitely don't make it easy to get uphill.
Yeah, you gotta deal with the weight of the trike.
Yeah.
Plus the bigger wheels.
And the extra traction that's on these off-road tires.
Yeah, a little more drag.
The full fat here is coming equipped with Ice's Ergolux, like super padded seat. So that adds a lot of comfort.
Yeah.
And then Ice's classic suspension is the elastomer. So
yeah, you got those rear elastomers.
Yeah, it's a bit squishy, and I don't have any front suspension.
Right.
Unlike
the Sunseeker CXS, another compelling reason why it tends to be so popular is because it also has full suspension.
Yeah, unlike the full fat here.
Yeah, CXS here it uses springs that are built into the spindle for about 1 inch travel. And in the rear, coil-over shock with a single pivot swing arm there. Pretty effective. Both of these trikes do have adjustable rear suspension. So for different weights of riders, you can adjust that a little bit.
And on the ice, you have to buy different weight classes of elastomers.
Soft, medium, and hard elastomers. And you can also combine them together. So you've got 2 elastomers there. And then you can also change the position.
They come with a chart in like the setup book that tells you how to set up your suspension depending on your weight.
If you're gonna haul cargo too, it's really easy just to swap that.
Yeah.
Notice here, like as we're cruising kind of off the crest of the hill, I mean, these big wheels just go. You know, we're not even really pedaling at this point. These things are just rolling nice and smooth. The nice thing is, like, I'm not afraid on a trike like this to venture over into the shoulder of the road if I need to, you know?
You can definitely handle it.
So now we're gonna go down our hill. How do these fat tires handle? How fast can I go with a monster truck trike? Let's see. Let's go.
Oh boy. Very high-seated. I don't know how much I want to push it. I'm at the end of my gearing.
So it takes a little while to wind up here.
Yes. Like, where am I going? Yeah. Ooh, I'm at the end of my gearing. This is all I get to do.
All right. Got our train.
But it's very smooth going down the hill. There we go. There's my purchase. Woo.
All right, where's Davy at? There he is.
I tried to go as fast as I could, but I ran out of gearing way, like, right near the top after that first bend. I couldn't do anything.
The full fat right now, the way it is geared, is really more for like off-road.
Yes, you aren't gonna wanna go that fast down an off-road hill.
I pretty much started in my high gear, but then as I was increasing my cadence and I'm pushing, like you can really feel the bigger, heavier tires. Like it takes a long time to like get up to speed, you know, but it's like with every push of the pedals, I'm going a little faster. And it wasn't until I was almost at the bottom of the hill where I felt like, okay, I've accelerated to the point where I really can't go any faster.
Yeah.
I really love the way this trike, how it handles. This trike is set up with our Ackerman Compensators for the steering.
And what do those do for the steering?
And so basically those adjust to keep the alignment consistent as the suspension moves up and down.
That makes
on the CXS specifically, because the suspension is built into the spindle itself at an angle, that alignment changes as the steering goes up and down.
So it just kind of increases the stability of your ride as you go.
Keeps the alignment consistent, you know, for different riders.
Yeah.
Otherwise, with the CXS, it's always important to, you know, set the alignment with the rider weight on there. And this kind of takes that away. But I'm really impressed though with the bigger wheels, especially where, you know, when I go fast on this, it's just glued.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of the main differences on these trikes that you'll notice right off the bat is the steering handlebar setup here. You know, it's set up with these horizontal handlebars that are, you know, kind of out and more bicycle-like, where, you know, you have the traditional...
More vertical bars.
Yeah, more vertical.
It keeps my arms really relaxed here, which I really like. I like the vertical handlebars more traditionally.
The horizontal handlebars, I think, really work for this trike because it does give you more stability out in it, and you've got these bigger wheels.
Yeah.
Just in the few miles that we've ridden already, I am kind of feeling just a little bit of fatigue like in my elbow area, you know, because I'm basically, my arms are hanging from the handlebars instead of from like my shoulders. Well, let's swap trikes and let's see what we think.
Okay.
Both of these trikes are pretty tall.
Yeah, I love how easy it is to get in and out.
With the CXS there, the
boom's a lot higher.
The boom is a lot higher. So that's immediately noticeable when you get into these.
Yeah.
This boom on this here just feels really low.
Yeah, like I am like immediately sitting down, I am inside of this trike. On the full fat, I was on top of the trike.
Again, it's one of those things where, you know, we ride all these trikes, but then when you ride one right after another, it's always interesting, those things that you pick up on.
Yeah, there's these very small differences in how they're built.
I immediately noticed that foot position here. I've been pretty vocal about that, you know, that I tend to like a higher bottom bracket because I have something to push against, where this is a lot lower. Like this reminds me a lot more of the Ice Adventure.
Oh yeah.
You know, with kind of its lower bottom bracket there. Yeah, let's get climbing.
Okay, let's see.
It's hard not to love Ice's seat
Oh, it's so
I
comfortable.
mean, this Ergolux seat is just fantastic.
Yeah.
I love this seat. That kind of takes me to one of my criticisms of the Sun seat there. It's a little low for a taller rider.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite give me that upper shoulder support that I want. So it's interesting pedaling these. I'm trying not to think about the tires. Like these tires roll easier than those Innova
Ah, crap.
tires, you know?
Yeah, it might kill me.
Huh?
This hill, it might kill me.
This pedaling position, while not my favorite, this roll-off gearing is just buttery smooth, easy to climb on. One thing that I do miss, you know, with the CXS there, you have that direct steering. So you can, you know, you can pull on those handlebars with this under seat steering.
You can't do that.
I really can't. I have to use my back and my legs to push up. Not too bad though.
Speak for
You're all the
yourself.
way, you're in the lower gear.
I'm in the lowest gear.
I didn't even touch that
I
gear.
don't know how you do it. These fat tire trikes are not for climbing hills.
Oh, see, I was in gear 6.
I don't get it. I don't know how you do it.
Well, we were barely moving, so.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay.
All right. Well, you don't have to worry about climbing the hill on that trike again today.
Thank goodness.
So,
I will say the full fat was a little bit easier.
right.
I think that the gearing is comparable, putting them both into their lowest, like I did. But I think it's mainly in the tires.
I would agree. It's really hard to do a fair comparison when the trikes aren't set up exactly the same.
Yeah. I was also feeling a lot of that difference in the seat. On the full fat, I have a lot of, well, you have a lot more seat back. So I was able to put a lot of that power into my shoulders. Sun seat here is a bit short, so I felt like a lot of my power had to come from my lower back, and it was not as efficient as it was on the ice.
I don't think I can attribute it just the tires.
Yeah.
But I think full fat was a little bit easier to climb on. And I don't know if it's just, there is a weight difference because this is a lighter frame. Yeah, I felt like climbing on this, I won't say significantly easier.
But there was a noticeable difference.
But it was easier, you know. I mean, I was only in, you know, my 6th gear and that felt really easy to climb with. The handlebar position here is more comfortable. I do wish that I had those wrist rests that ice makes.
Yeah.
As I've been riding some more of the Sun trikes lately with those horizontal handlebars, I've really kind of taken to just resting my arms on the top.
Oh yeah, same. I did that a lot.
And
which is really nice.
Yeah, which is kind of like this built-in hand rest. If I had the wrist rest on this, it would be very comparable.
Yeah.
They're two different trikes, and it's pretty remarkable the differences.
Yeah.
I'm excited to compare these going down the hill.
I will say this front suspension is really nice. Notice that on the full fat that it does that it's not there.
Right. One thing I was really kind of focusing on this time on that CXS was really trying to hit those bumps, go on the shoulder, and feel like, what does that front suspension feel like?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that more when we get to the bottom of the hill. Let's see who runs out of gear first, Davy. I think it's me.
Oh my gosh, can I steer though? That's the big thing. That was so wide. Oh, it wants to stay straight.
Well, I'm out of gears, guys. So I'm just gonna enjoy the ride. I got no gears.
I have no water.
Okay, well.
Gosh.
That was about the first time that I went down the hill and didn't pedal. because
Yeah.
like you said, I was halfway into that second bend and there were no more gears for me. While the gearing is nice and low for probably more off-road style riding, it probably is geared a little low right now.
Yeah.
For our on the street test. I will say though, you know, going as fast as I was going, I was still able to go about the same speed on this down the hill, coasting, as I was on the CXS in the highest gear pedaling. Yeah. I think a big part of that probably is the tires. I don't know that we can make any kind of accurate speed comparisons. Let's talk about what we can compare.
Yeah.
Comfort-wise, there's two facets that I think we need to discuss. I think the seat, by far, this ice seat is the winner.
100%.
Both of us are gonna agree to that. It's got just really nice cushioning. The shape is really nice. It's tall and gives you that upper, even when I'm leaning back like this, I'm getting that shoulder support right where I need it.
Yeah.
It just feels really nice. Definitely one check in the ice full fat box there. We've got that seat comfort. The next thing that's gonna be the most obvious is handlebar arm comfort.
Yep.
That one's a little harder. Like, while I definitely like the more natural resting position here of my vertical handlebars on this full fat here.
I personally really like the vertical handlebars. The elevated nature of the horizontal isn't really for me, especially my forearms. And the vertical handlebars really just keep it as relaxed as possible, which is really nice to feel.
The vertical handlebars, especially if you pair these with the wrist rest, it's really hard to beat that because it just puts your hands in a very natural position.
Yeah.
The CXS handlebars, I think they are comfortable. For the long haul, I think you're gonna feel it. You know, they're a little too high and a little too wide. Kind of makes your arms are hanging off the handlebars. So I really like that you can just rest your arms, you know, on top, kind of like I can do with the mirror here.
Yeah.
You know,
like this is nice. I feel like it's just kind of like making up for the fact that this is a bit more tiring. You can do this.
Yeah.
You know, but one place I feel like the ice wins in most of its comfort stuff. But personally, for me, I really like the suspension on the Sunseeker here.
Kind of a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
The Sunseeker suspension on that CXS is pretty basic.
Oh, it's really basic.
You know, and it's not adjustable. And it has, you know, one spring and it has about 1 inch of travel. And you would think with these big fat tires that you wouldn't really notice it that much.
Yeah.
But you do.
Yeah, like basic front suspension is better than no front suspension.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling that the most. This front suspension with these big tires is doing a lot to absorb the road vibrations. The small times where I'm going off the road a little bit, right? Like there's so many small things that I think you're definitely going to feel when you're going off road as well. That front suspension really adds to that comfort.
Now Ice, when they first came out with the full fat, they released it with the front suspension option.
Really?
And you could get the full fat with front suspension and it was selling pretty well. I mean, people wanted that front suspension. So many people want to put motors on everything.
Yeah.
Which really makes a lot of the comparisons that we're doing different.
Yeah.
You know, when you talk about gearing and speed and everything, it doesn't matter as much if you're putting a 20-mile-an-hour motor on the trike.
Yeah.
But so many people were putting motors on them. What would happen is that front suspension and the bigger wheels, when they would put a motor on the front, it would induce speed wobble behavior.
Oh, really?
Yeah, to the point where decided to no longer offer it.
Interesting.
And I think part of it too is they know, you know, what kind of forces their suspension can handle and everything.
Yeah.
So they just didn't feel comfortable, you know, with the bigger wheels on there. We're waiting for a small train today.
Thankfully.
Small and loud. I don't know if that gets picked up on the speakers here, but that is some craziness there.
Back on the road.
We're back on the road again. Both of these trikes, they roll over railroad tracks very nicely.
Yeah, way better than the smaller road trikes. That's what these big tires are for, thankfully.
Yeah. Both of these trikes are very smooth though.
They are very smooth.
And riding the CXS and then immediately getting here on this full fat, it definitely feels easier to pedal.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that's probably 80% the tires. That other 20% of efficiency, probably I'm feeling a little bit lighter frame, and then the seat.
Yeah.
Really does make a difference. I think for climbing, while I did feel this had the advantage of climbing in its current setup, I do like the higher bottom bracket height that the CXS has there.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the shop, boys and girls. You know, this is a weird comparison.
Very weird comparison.
You know, we have the Ice Full Fat here, which in many ways was made to be a fat trike, but like all of Ice's trikes is modular and is built on that modularity, you know, where the main frame is essentially like the Ice Adventure HD frame, and then they have a wider rear end to accommodate that wider wheel, and they've made a fat trike. The CXS was made as a fat trike. It was made with the smaller 20 by 4 inch wheels.
Yeah.
And it's interesting when we put the fatter 26 inch wheels on it, how it does subtly change the behavior of that trike.
Yeah.
Whether people find that to be a favorable change for them is, you know, going to be kind of again up to their kind of riding that they want to do. 20 inch wheels have the advantage of being lighter, they're quicker to accelerate, it's easier to get going, but it's a little bit harder to maintain that speed. Where these big fat wheels on both of these trikes, I felt it a lot on the CXS where, you know, it took a lot longer to get up to speed, but once I was at speed, it just maintains it so well.
Yeah.
You know, and like even when we were coming back here, you know, for very little effort, once you get going, you just stay going on both of these trikes.
Yeah, which is awesome. These big wheels really let you keep that momentum.
For a lot of people, it's going to come down to cost. Again, the base price of the full fat, you know, we're over $5,000, and the base price of the CXS with the smaller wheels were about $2,500, so about half the price. With the bigger wheels, the way that it's set up right now, this is about $4,500.
Wow.
You know, which I think is going to be more comparable to the stock price of the full fat. So that with the full fat with the roll off, the way this is set up right now, is an $8,300 trike. You know, but if I take that gearing, you know, and I put it on this, you know, I'm adding another $2,000. So we're still going to be, you know, about $2,000, $2,500 cheaper. Like we could put the roll off on the CXS there, you know, and now we're going to be in that $6,500 price range. We're getting up there in price, but we're still, you know, a little bit cheaper than the full fat.
Yeah. The full fat's higher price really gives you, right? Like it really gives you a more comfortable seat. It gives you that elastomer suspension. It gives you a slightly different like frame geometry, which to me is a bit more comfortable than something that's on the Fat Tad, right? And it just gives you those smoother parts, those vertical handlebars. And I think it adds a lot of comfort.
Well, and the one feature that we have not talked about yet, and this is a make it or break it feature for most people, the Ice Full Fat folds.
It does fold. That's
like,
crazy.
I could take this trike with me. I mean, and that's huge because The CXS, especially with the 26-inch tires,
It's big.
this is a big
It's really
trike.
big.
It's a big trike, and it's even a little bit longer than the full fat
Yeah.
here. This full fat here, though, it folds up. It's got a hinge. I can pull the seat off. I can fold it in half, and I could put it in my SUV or minivan SUV, back of a pickup, a lot easier than this, you know, where the CXS basically requires a pickup truck or, you know,
trailer
an
or
empty
anything.
van or a trailer or something like that. I don't think that can be discounted at all. I mean, you have to, you know, you have to factor that in. Like, hey, I want to take this trike with me. Well, the full fat
Makes it easy.
right?
The full fat makes.
And there are some things, you know, that you can do on the CXS to equalize the comfort. You know, we have a seat that's comparable to, you know, the Ergolux seat that you could put on there.
Yeah.
And you're still going to be cheaper, you know, and that's I think where it gets a little more difficult. Yeah, a big part of it is going to come down to, you know, do you want a trike that you can take with you, especially a fat tire trike? The full fat, I think, has that edge. Right off the bat, it's more comfortable, but it is also more expensive. I think that if you're going to put a motor on it, I would probably lean more towards the CXS just because it's already $2,000 cheaper. You could put a motor on it, and it is a bigger, heavier trike. Putting a motor on the full fat here, for me, I feel like it kind of misses the point just a little bit.
Yeah.
The one advantage I think that this has that was immediately noticeable is it is lighter, it is easier to pedal. Adding a motor to it, now I'm adding more weight.
Yeah.
Everything.
The Fat Tad can really be complemented by a motor, and with that extra price, and with that extra savings you get on the price, it's a little bit easier to add one as well.
You know, if you're putting money into the CXS, we already recommend that you upgrade the gearing and everything on there. If you put the motor on, you're already just replacing all of that front gearing with a motor anyway.
Yeah. And then just last thing to mention really is, sure, this Fat Tad is a bit cheaper than the full fat, but the suspension is still great, right? You actually have front suspension, which I think does a lot for even just road riding.
Yeah.
Right? It absorbs a lot of those road vibrations and a lot of those bumps that I was going through that the full fat did not absorb as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's something to really consider, because if you're looking for a smooth ride, the Fat Tad might be the way to go if you're just looking for that road vibration absorption.
Really like to see, you know, ICE bring that back as an option.
I think it'd be great.
And on the book option, adding that front suspension back, you know, or at least a version of that, you know, even with the caveat that it shouldn't be combined with the motor or whatever. You know, this ride may not be the kind of comparison that a lot of people were looking for, as far as we did not take these off-road. We're not climbing, you know, over rocks and everything with these rides here. Both of these trikes are definitely capable of that, and they have lots of ground clearance, and they handle that. I do think, though, that most people that are considering a fat tire trike are not riding off-road. People tend to like the look of the fat tire trike. They want to have something that's big and mean and that rolls smooth, and both of these trikes will do that.
Or even just handling the icy roads in the wintertime.
Exactly.
There's a lot of applicable settings for these fat tire trikes.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I hope that you got something out of this ride with us, and we're glad that you could join us today. And as always, we encourage you to relax, spin fast, and ride trikes. See you later.
See you guys next time.
It's like somebody said, hey, I want to drag my fingers across the chalkboard, and my fingers weigh 70,000
70,000 pounds, and it will go on for like 5 minutes. It wants to go straight really bad.
Bumpy.
Yeah.
And you know one thing?
I got to take advantage of this roll off and shift while I'm stopped.
One of the characteristics of trike steering geometry tends to be as you go with a bigger wheel, or even as you extend the axle down, it tends to make the steering stiffer
Yeah.
and more straight line tendency, you know?
But with the full fat, I didn't notice that as much. Like it was still like not wobbly and it wanted to go
Right.
straight, but when I'm trying to turn, it doesn't fight.
One thing is, if you compare the full fat to the Ice Adventure, which have nearly identical frames on them, and you will notice that the steering on the Ice Adventure feels a lot looser than it does on the full fat, you know. And I think the CXS is even a lot more, it wants to go straight.
Yeah.
So